Beautiful. Beautiful. This is one of my favorite parts of the evening where we get to introduce somebody who's worth introducing.
Yeah.
Um, Britt Peter is our feature tonight, and he is a stellar poet who will be holding forth. I've always been appreciative of his detailing of historical moments, and I really appreciate how intense and fine tuned that is. A little bit about Britt. He was born in the north arm of Indian Valley in 1938. It was a valley scorched by the Dixie Fire in 2021. He was lucky enough, once he left college, to fall in with anarcho pacifists in Berkeley and a crowd of poets and painters around Robert Duncan, Jack Spicer, and Black Mountain refugees. Work life got in the way for a few years. There was also the peace movement, shift yards, pickup jobs, and schools. But he still wanted to be a poet. It has been his good luck in recent years to be in touch with Mount Tamalpais through the window every morning and with the SF Bay Area community of poets who sing out in small cafes and over Zoom all over the place here. And I put a couple of clips of him reading in my write up. And so that's a good thing to check out. But now, Britt, we are coming to you, and I'm going to mute me. The mic is yours.
Thank you. Entry point. Quiet urge, too. The room was not cold. Christmas Eve morning. Nothing like Vion's Paris loft. The door opened a crack. A spattering of golden insistence. A spattering of words within, replayed, allowed to stand. The notebook stacks, never followed up. This was different, an unannounced beginning. Orion setting, strong coffee, the sleeping house. This week's politics. Out of here. Hey, Richard, on your cloud. The political situation is crazier than ever. Trump sitting exhausted in a far corner, his Loy beside him, the politics of revenge. I'll get Rachel Maddow if it's the last thing I ever do. Talk about optimism. Lee Hayes saying, this too shall pass. I know. I've had kidney stones. Yeah, but is that how empires ever end? More likely in dust, the survivors unable to climb out of the rubble. People anywhere, everywhere, suffering the repressions offered up by the commanding fools. Philosopher kings, kindly leaders, wise statesmen, come on, man. In this hut off to the side, Lao Tzu prepares a statement for the gatekeeper. In this hut off to the side, Linda Yamina reconstructs an Oolong basket out of woven reeds. In this hut off to the side, a poet makes a poem for other poets, for new ears, thrown into open air, a work considering the situation, strangely full of anger, love, and hope. Hey, Richard, we're trying to maintain and negotiate the course. Family ties, not family lies, not family ties. Oh, this theme, seen from a pinnacle of old age, almost a stirring of ashes from this vantage point. Further reflection, arrange the characters, this morning's configurations. 1. Like almost every adolescent boy, I got into it with the old man, Having read a little, I called his work and motives into question. The union agent, the pie card, I called him Dave Beck, Jimmy Hoffa, chief villains in the Ike era. His quoting Polonius, to thine own self be true, weaving thin, wearing thin with me at that time. How did it jibe with what I saw? And the breadwinner, and the pay rent, didn't take kindly to my remarks. The green challenge, the disrespect. And we got into it verbally and with this. 2. Then there was the lie from my mother's family, the almost orphan girl reconstructing her history. Grandpa came into Texas barefoot and riding a mule. Not hardly so. A parcel of the expanded family never broke links from County Terrell through Virginia, Tennessee, Texas, and the Sacramento Valley, some still lingering near Sweetwater. My mom carted off to Gridley at 10 when her mother died young. To Uncle Bobby's prosperous house, the long porches away from the highway. 4 girls to raise: Monterey, Geneva, Uvalde, and Roberta Joe. His shotgun vigils and whiskey diet, almost too old for the task. The girls discovering football players and sweet wine, bobbed hair, and surviving minds. They knew shorthand and from an early age how to manage their own lives. 3, family lives, not family ties, the separations and separate lives, the hikes, the loans, the visits, seeing them out. Dutiful son, sometime patient father, responsible mother. My dad selling his guns away to buy camera equipment and weekends on Tamalpais. My mom, a Sam Rayburn Democrat all her life. The telescope's focus, engaged lives, pains and blow-ups not denied, taking care with considered words even now. The parents' trip from the agrarian to the urban. Frozen pipes, depression woes, carpools, and shipyard grime, good jobs, bad jobs, house payments, 2 cars, and martinis. My wanting to do politics and art. We all tried. Initial efforts diminished and opposed along the way. This is backing off of my teenage attitude toward my father a little. Clyde Peter, 1988. At 2, seeing Halley's Comet from the porch in the Wide Valley, 1910. More vivid than that, a memory of the noise of horse teams pulling wagons filled with copper ore roaring past the house down from Ingle Mine. Told over tears, breakfast and wine in Alameda, 1980. I listened. There may be no crying in baseball, but don't tell me about old men summing up his having heard Marian Anderson's Ave Maria, Marilyn Horne's Ginny with the light brown hair, or telling again of horses navigating wagons filled with copper ore down mountain roads, his eyes watering up sipping wine at breakfast. This is the second section. I tried to be rhapsodic, but I ended up with shipyard poems. There's some mention of death in these poems, and you're forewarned. For Carl Shapiro and L.P. Smith, the white-haired mentor, formerly the red-headed wise guy, said, "Don't make the poem too pretty." I put down the picked flower, left off meditating, threw down the blurred translation of the drunken poet's demise, lost contact with Laura's equivalent, looked in the closet for the abandoned coveralls, and because I knew Carl was right, I drew an oil-soaked plank from the crowded engine room. Needed LP, the top man's help. That's how you clean out a tank. The pulley squeaks, the knot holds, the board and awkward top rides up, banging against the stairwell and out into the fresh salt air. Gloved hands swing it clear, a quick unraveling, and set the plank down on a new stack. Another shipyard poem. At the Elkhorn, a favorite watering hole. After a few drinks, the guy across the table confides in me, gives me a message. The MF says if he ever gets a chance, he will throw you off the wing wall. Thanks for the info. Bland smile and a last drink before driving home. Well, it never happened. Not on that job or any other we worked on. The short-armed MF was famous for his talk, for loud confrontations, and his lousy politics. Shipyard, stage rigging. These are the different crafts. Dry dockman, stage rigger, shipwright. Shipyard, stage rigging. Johnny Power went down in a tank, Richmond Yard 3. Industrial name, industrial death. A floor of lumber followed him to the bottom, iron hull. He's gone, Pete. We finished the day. We thought about it every day. An evening reruns, a good partner, a silent departure. Bird caged to the tank's top, his frozen jaw. And when that job was finished, some of us said, never again. Or one hand for the company, one hand for yourself. What for? For Guy F. Atkinson? For Little Beaver, the leaderman? For the union or family? Sleep on that. Drink on that. The full context was searing. The meetings, the attempts at placing blame, the safety man's review. The entire stack of subpar lumber. Meaning, find another job. Jump the context. Move away. Let the industry die without you. In actuality, wait for the next dispatch. This poem is drifting, centering on a past quandary. I began with Johnny Power. That was his real name, who I worked with, ate lunch with, who I watched closely for safety tips. Don't look down. In the old stone church on 40th Street, cars arriving, 2 tall sons await the casket, whose funeral I attended on a workday morning. Richmond Yard 3. Ed went too. A happy, profitable afternoon, returned to work. Noisy shack, guys coming in from their own lives, lacing up their boots, street shoes set on the locker shelf, gloves and hammers gathered. At about 7:30 p.m., Ed, working from near the top, T2 tanker just docked, toppled from the stairwell, as easy as a leaf falling from a winter tree. A blur to anyone watching. The eye, now many eyes look down to see the stopped figure, a perfect sprawl against the bulkhead, a quiet red lake beneath him. One more in that series. Jump. A clamp that didn't hold. Gathering in the last pieces of a high staging, 40 feet up, suddenly floating away from a narrow perch. How articulate and ready are you for that event? One word, now? Followed by a quick review, the totality of instance felt, no abstraction, no justification, eyes pried open, seeing through a large windshield, a wrapping cockpit, till stopped by LP, a partner on the iron staircase, his gasp, clamps that did hold fast, his fingerprints in the torso for a month, the ink of the night seen through the hatch opening at the top of the tank. Let go, damn it. Down the stairs, retrieving the plank and spall, called for the rope, wrapped them tight, up and out. In a lesser vein, Local 1149, 1964. The two workers sat on the lip of the freight car, shipwright and helper, a peacenik and ex-boxer. They were tearing down and rebuilding boxcars for the tugboat king, young Tom Crowley, route of the hydroplanes headed for Alaska. 5 or 6 cars on a siding, vacant field near the Oakland estuary. Crew of 12, old heads and kids, crowbars and nails, tongue and groove flooring, bolted down air gun whir. During lunch, they put the World Series on and talked about family, jazz, Rocky Marciano, and how crazy LBJ and Barry Goldwater were. They got good at what they were doing. Seldom saw the worried boss. Outlasted some of the original crew. Milked the job down to the sweet end. It was an Elysian time in an 8-hour frame. On quiet reflection, that might have been the best job either of them ever had. For Milton Jimmy Howard, a winning boxer that didn't have a good PR man. I'm going to skip the last shipyard poem to ease off a little. Warren Street Commotion. Yes, I can rewrite the first poem. The girl in the doorway. The neighbor climbing a telephone pole for a better view, while sirens went off announcing a nearby fire. I can rewrite that first poem, coax the characters into form, but not to the point of completion. Something other than hot yearning dwells in memory. What stays, what sticks, is light affection that curls the corners of my mouth, even for that comic fool up a pole. And finally, not reason, but quiet urge. What reason for a young man sipping wine putting together a line of words, noticing the rhyme of syllables, the clash of sibilants and hard consonants, to save jottings or refill the glass. Reasons abound. What reason now, long past deadlines or expectation, to retain or fashion a set page? Reasons abound. Not reason, but quiet urge, still looking for correct intonation, doubting the approach as the consonants and soft vowels dance and call in this cold room. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Unmute, please, and let him hear.
Woo, Britt. All right.
Great reading, Britt.
Thank you.
Yay, Britt.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Great job, Britt.
Thank you.
Beautiful. There's some comments.